Hello everyone, my name is Alex Pinto. You remember me for sure. Today I have the pleasure to have another guest, and in a kind of a commemoration reply about what happened with my FH dating on YouTube, that I was closed for the simple reason that I exposed the truth about socials and the pros and the cons. So today I come back with a new gift, with a new person, with new experiences, and we are going to share with John and listen what he has to say about his own experience, his own expectations, and why his decision to work with us instead of keeping on letter writing, online writing, and coming on social events and not being able to find those persons that are suitable on screen for him to meet. So let's listen what he has to say. Hope you enjoy and learn with the future and learn with the mistakes for guarantee a better success. So now we have John here with us, and because testimonial is always something that is more important instead of me saying something, let's listen on the first hand from him, the reasons why he came and how he's feeling the experience being here in Poltava with us.
Thank you, Alex. And my journey is a little bit different than probably most of the men that have come to seek your help. I've had a lot of difficulties in my country. Finding a good girl with good values that is focused on different things in life that meets to my criteria. So I decided to go on the internet. I've had experience doing internet dating within my country and did not have a lot of success. I did speed dating. I've done everything. And, I've heard a lot of things, through friends and through the internet that there has been some good experiences, coming to Ukraine and dating Ukrainian women. I've seen, all the websites with all these success stories, and that's something that I really wanted. So I decided to join, a couple of websites and started chatting and sending letters, not knowing that...
How long that...
you know what? Before I actually came to the Ukraine, I would say it's probably a good 8 to 9 months. And, looking back, I was very foolish to think that any of that stuff would lead to anything serious.
Well, supposedly the idea would be that if it would be a genuine persons behind those pictures that are talking with you, right? That is the expectation that the marketing makes you believe.
Yeah, and now, I was fairly new to this. I didn't know anybody personally that has used these websites to contact or communicate with a lady. So I was a bit naive, thinking that I was speaking to someone real. And a lot of the communication was very, fun, and it flowed. It felt like I was speaking to a woman from my own country.
Can you explain us why you consider now today, after your experience, naive? What disappointed you for you to consider yourself naive at the moment?
I would say the recent experience that I've had, not only back in July of this year, coming and visiting the socials and going to some different cities and meeting some girls and going on dates, but really more recently, actually just a week ago. And actually before I came to see you, you happened to meet me at the hotel and pick me up.
Yeah, the interesting part is just we met through a service that would not be the dating service, but the transfer from Kyiv to Poltava.
And I really wanted to rewind. You mentioned how long I've been doing this letter writing. Probably a few months, and then it got to the point where it started to be phone calls. And there was 1 or 2 ladies that seemed like it was going to be serious. The conversation was amazing. It felt like we were making a connection. And, she said, let's start making phone calls and we'll talk more regularly. And that happened. It made me feel good. And I'm sure all the guys that go on these websites, if they do happen to find someone, they're feeling the same feelings. And then I started asking questions because I really wanted to find out who this person was and whether they were serious. And I started asking, send me photos. Send me real photos. I don't want model photo shoots.
Yeah, what was your strategy to testify
there's a couple
the veracity of the girl?
Couple things was I wanted to meet you. Obviously, my goal is I want to meet the girl in person. It's not to spend 3 years on the internet talking, because that's not going to lead to anything. So I kind of, put some stuff out there. I wanted to meet her in person, see what her response was. The response was, in many cases, oh, I'm not available this time, I won't have vacation till the summer, someone's sick, or I have to work. So I kind of just let it be, and then I started asking questions about, well, send me some real photos. Send me photos of your travel. Tell me some more personal stuff. And that's when it became, a little red flag for me.
Did you have the perception that, I don't say most of the letters, but the great majority of those letters, when you read them, and instead of being sent to you or sent to another 100,000 guys, they would be also suitable for them because they didn't focus on any specific thing that you spoke directly and is a private issue between you and the girl? It's like when you read this, and this could be for me or could be for 100 guys, because it doesn't touch nothing that I ask.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's directly and exclusive for me. It's suitable for anyone because it's so subjective.
I would say the first few weeks, I would say the letters are very generic. They weren't really specific to me.
Prototype.
Prototype, yeah. It's like a photocopy, And then
I can tell you that that exists. The first 3 to 4 letters, they are pre-written, obviously, and the girls that operate this system about the translation, they even have sentence, and when it started to be difficult after the 3rd and the 4th part of letters, they start to glue and compose the messages with sentence from here, sentence from there, because you can imagine that it's not only you, it can be even more 100 guys. So to put all these letters out is better that something is already pre-arranged, because there's no possible way to reply exactly to your questions and take it you as a personal issue for her, like suppose should be.
And then as I started communicating a little bit longer, it became a little bit personal, but it didn't seem like there was a lot of information that we had discussed that was being put into these letters. And then I started to challenge some of the content in the letters, and again, as you mentioned, a lot of the things seemed like they were copy and pasted. Some of these letters would have poems, and I'd actually put the actual words from the poems into the internet to do a search, and these were copied from Google. And then I would, ask these questions about exactly, who you are, and that's when they kind of would twist the conversation around to make you feel like you're the one that's guilty.
Yes, I was exactly going to ask you that, because by rules, when the client, in this case you or whatever is the man that is writing, when you start to become suspicious and lose the enchantment, then comes from the other side to revert the things on the way that will mess with your conscience, like you are not being polite, you are not being a gentleman, you don't prove to love anyone, and you are being aggressive, and I don't like that. And so this to oblige you to go back to what you were, that leads nowhere, right?
Exactly.
And those girls, did you ask ever to have a live chat on Skype to see them live?
I did.
You were succeeded with that?
I was not. They told me they did not have a web camera. And that's when I started asking more questions. Well, when can we meet? I'm going to come to your city. Let's arrange a date. And they were very good at kind of, moving around and not giving you a firm answer on something. And that's when I started doing a little digging around for myself and realized that they actually don't live in the city that they claim to be. They're actually from another country. And, these 2 ladies were actually models. And they were good at really making me believe that there was genuine interest in chatting, and they tell you all these words that just make you feel so good, and, they just kind of suck you in. They're really in, just like a fish.
What John is saying about it, I can open a little bit the game a little more for you to understand, is mentioned about social networks. That are Soviet social networks, like we have Facebook, they have many others, and of course when sometimes to my clients they ask me, can you please help me to understand if this girl that I'm talking with, she's genuine, she is really legit girl, she is really single, she doesn't have boyfriend, she's really interested, she doesn't have the experience of being someone on the bad way, on the bad path. And funny but sad, we find there girls married, girls with kids, girls that already ask to be deleted for more than 2 years, and their pictures stay still on those websites because obviously they produce money. This is the reason why they are there. Some of the companies even oblige these girls, when they enlist in the agency, to make a 1-year contract where they are obliged to stay, whatever they find the boyfriend or not, and they need to attend to these socials also. And what can I tell you? It's really, really sad, this situation, the way they treat people and the way they treat our expectations. And they manipulate us only with the one single goal, that is to make that money. And these social networks are really helpful. And curiously, sometimes these girls, like he said, that they are photo models, they are Russian. I remember last week I was trying to find one for a French client, and you can imagine I found 18 profiles of the same person on a private social network. 18. So even on these social networks, the agencies are infiltrated. But worse, but this will be another subject, worse than the normal scam or the agency with the translators and letter writing scamming, the professional ones, the fear ones, the ones that we should be really afraid of, are the self-entrepreneurs, because there exist many of them, and this is why we find 18 profiles on the social network of the same girl. That girl even doesn't know, but someone is manipulating her images.
So I, went ahead and challenged this lady on who she was, and again she turned it around, and I decided to stop communication. But because there were so many emotions built up in those months, and I truly did want to find someone, I decided I would still come to Ukraine. There was some socials that were being conducted at the time, and I decided to join and take my first trip actually to Europe. And, I was looking very forward to that. At the same time, even though I had stopped communication with 2 of the ladies on the website, I did happen to find someone else on there, and we started video chatting. And I thought, what, maybe this is real. I can see the lady right in front of me. I can see her typing as we're chatting. And I said to myself, this must be real. She wanted to see me. She knew I was coming to Ukraine. She's like, we'll meet, we'll have dinner, I'll show you around the town, we'll show you some of the historic sites, you'll have a great time. And for me, that was great because I had some socials that were organized, and then at the same time, I could meet someone and hopefully build something a little bit more serious.
A plan B.
A plan B.
That is advisable to everybody.
Yeah.
To have a plan B.
I've realized that a couple times. You have to have a plan A and a plan B and even a plan C.
Especially when you are 5,000 miles away.
Exactly. And so I had gone to the social, and I had read everything, and I knew what to expect. And in many cases, it was a lot different than what I expected. And just to give you an idea, the first social, I absolutely loved it. It was great because it's the first time I've been in this environment, so you don't know what to expect.
You felt overwhelmed?
Me personally, no.
No, so many girls in the room. How many were? 100?
You know what? I was told there'll be 200. There was maybe 40. So that's where...
Oops.
That's where, my expectation was not met. However, you go to this nice disco, you see some beautiful women. They're a little bit older than I was led to believe. But for me, I came here for a reason. I really wanted to give it all my best. And I was not overwhelmed. I've been in situations in my work or in social meetings that I can talk to strangers.
Yes, you have already big experience in terms of the dating. So, But when I say overwhelmed, it's because I noticed that on older people, it is not your case, they really get overwhelmed. And I understand that you understood that. A couple of days we were in the disco, and you could count by the hands how many guys were there, but you could not count the girls. And that is what makes people get overwhelmed, is to see a full dancing floor of girls and 2 or 3 guys there. This is the overwhelming that I was trying to refer.
And so for me it was pretty good. I was able to speak to a lot of ladies, but then things were a little strange for me because you saw some ladies that weren't there to meet guys. They were there to socialize with their friends, to eat food, to have a drink, and then leave after an hour. And
let me put one key question that is also a good lesson and is like an advice. Did you find on those socials any of the girls that were posted on a website from the company that you enlisted to?
At the social?
Yes.
No. But I did have the company call one lady. And she actually came just to meet me. and we sat and we had a great time when we talked, and we actually kept in communication. So for me, there was a good experience and a bad experience at the social. And for me, that one event told me that there are some really good girls in Ukraine. You just have to look.
No, undoubtedly. There are very good girls here, there are very bad girls here,
Yeah.
like everywhere in the world.
Exactly.
The question is to find them where they are.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the first city in the social, and then, I happened to come to your city, Poltava, and I'll tell you...
The city where I live.
Yes. And
my city is out there in Europe.
Yeah. And you know what? Out of all the cities I had visited, this is now my second trip. I think Poltava is probably the best for me, only because I felt very comfortable walking the streets. I found that the women that I did happen to meet, very genuine. They're also very shy and timid, but I think once they get past that first or second meeting, they really open up and you can really see that they are serious.
That's shy, you have already some, and that's why I would put this question to help those that are listeners. You have some experience about the big cities, what is Kiev, what is Odessa, and you have the big experience also here in Poltava that is considered very small. Okay, it's full of girls because we have 5 universities, I don't know, many institutes and colleges and academies, so there are many young people here. But you saw that the behavior is not the same. Can you help us to understand what is the difference from the big city and from this small city? What makes this small city more comfortable and more hopeful for you than the big one?
I would say, to summarize one word, the people here in Poltava are more humble. If I look at the very big cities, whether it be Kiev, Odessa, Kharkov, it's a busy city. Everybody has something to do. The women are very focused on their looks. They're very focused on the amount of jewelry that they're wearing, the amount of designer brands, spending time doing things with their friends, and just maybe not so much focus as to, the things that we come to expect with, traditional Ukrainian women, where they're focused on their family, focused on maybe finding a man, potentially having a family at some point. It's what I felt the total opposite. It's out to have a good time, hang out with friends, see if a guy will buy them expensive dinners, buy them gifts. Just the stuff that you didn't really expect to see.
The stuff that we have back home.
Yeah, exactly. The stuff that we deal with, I've dealt with it in my own country. You have the fancy dinners, and then after 1 or 2 dates, it just kind of fizzles out. The romance of the first couple dates, it's gone. And it's the same thing in these big cities.
And you also didn't find that image, of course, that poor little ones back there in former Soviet Union, starving and hoping that you go and save them.
I'll be honest with you, if there's one lesson I learned in these big cities, they love their life. It's no different than New York City, no different than California, LA, Miami. They have everything they need.
And you didn't feel them in despair to get out from it?
No, they're not in a rush to get out of this country. They have the best clubs here. They have very good restaurants. Everything you see in your own country, they have exactly the same thing here.
And some things for the same price.
Exactly.
So this just to break the myth that this is not a lousy country, poor and starving, with people doing anything to get out from here. Believe me, they only will get out from here if they really truly love you. And that is a hard part. This is what makes the sex rate go low, because to abandon all the family, all the friends, all their life legacy, they really need to love that guy to change the country, leave all this behind, to go depend on someone abroad where they don't know. You felt that especially in a small town.
I agree.
Where they are really, really with deep roots of the family or another place. Can be bad considering to our level of life, our standards, but it's what they have. It's their patrimony, and they don't lose whatever they have, that they even don't qualify if it's too good or too bad, because here they don't know so much about what they maybe can achieve. Okay, we have television, we have iPads, iPods, and internets everywhere, and there's no poor little ones without computers home, right?
Yes.
So
they all have mobile phones, they all have the internet, they have access to everything else that we have.
That's another myth that we would like John helping us to cut this, because it's really a joke.
Yeah. So let me get back to the social that I attended. And, I had a very good time, to be honest with you. It was at a very nice place. Lots of beautiful women. There must have been at least over 120, and, from every age, from, 20s to 30s to 40s. And, I had a great time going around and meeting some ladies and getting to know them. And, unfortunately, I only had met one. And, again, there was an expectation that there's going to be all these dates waiting for you, after you take their number.
Do you confess that I go back to the overwhelming? Do you confess that the brains disconnect a little bit when you see those girls hypothetically willing to meet you and interested in you?
It does get overwhelming when you see so many beautiful women and you want to talk to each one of them. A lot of guys, and I was guilty of this as well. When I first came here, I was fixated on a specific type of woman. I want her to be this height or look like this, and you kind of go through these socials looking for that woman.
You recognize that is a mistake.
It's the biggest mistake you're gonna ever make, and I'll tell all the guys that are watching this video, just be true to yourself. If the expectation is you're gonna come to this country looking for a supermodel that's 5'10", maybe 49 kilograms, it's not gonna happen. You have to be very realistic in your expectations of what you're looking for. And again, come here with an open mind, and if you put those two together, I think you'll have a lot of success.
Another thing that is interesting, and explain this, is that these companies, they promote prizes for the girls that come inside, and we can see, even as you can see now, they advertise even on the bus stop. Come work with us. You want to find the man of your life, you want to win gifts, you want to win money, you want a better future abroad, come work with us. This is the marketing that is made to gather all those girls there inside. And many of the guys that are listening to me already attended to this. Maybe you didn't have that experience, but if after 1 hour of the 4 hours that these socials last, the girl looks very much interested in you, and she was not all the time with you because your fellow colleagues that come with you, they are a bigger competition for you than the girls, because everybody wants to talk. So it's not a speed dating, but you don't feel comfortable because somebody will take that girl from you sooner or later. That is another disadvantage that it has. You can invite her to go out and she will refuse to go because she's obliged to stay till the end, and because she will have a compensation to stay there. But that part we will talk later. So back to the social.
So back to the social, I did spend time, talking to as many as I could. And, again, overwhelming with so many beautiful young ladies, but then overwhelming to go and talk to each of them and find out more about them. And some of them were very open, and some of them were very closed. And that's what was very strange for me, because you expect these ladies to be coming to a social to meet a man. That's the whole point. And then to not say anything or kind of ignore you or seem uninterested. To me, this was new because, again, you have the big expectations coming over to this country that everyone wants to meet a foreign man.
But when you see, sorry for the observation, when you say that you believe more because you see them typing, but how many % of them speak English? Those chats were with people that speak English?
They did not, no.
So how they type?
They said they had a translator there. I didn't see the translator
there. So you see the face of the girl and the hands of the translator, because the girl does know English, right?
Correct.
So she cannot type English.
Well, she said she's typing in Russian, and then someone else is there typing and translating in English.
Sorry, that doesn't exist. Period. No. No, it cannot be.
That's what I was led to believe.
Okay. Just let's imagine the scene. A girl is talking with you and she's writing in Russian, and you are listening to the voice of a translator that is reading what she's writing. This is what you said. Why type? She can just speak. You will listen her voice live in her language.
Let me correct
and
that.
And then the other one correct, right?
Yeah, so let me correct. So in the video chat, there's no voice. It's just video.
You just see the image?
Just see the
image. And you receive the text.
The text, yeah.
And do you see direct response on reactions
about
what you write?
instant.
So that is a good sign.
Yeah. There's a couple of kind of flags that, I'd read that you kind of want to look out for. And they said we're going to, kind of go and eat outside of the city. And that was kind of flag number one. I was told, Poltava has everything in the city center. There's no reason to leave. You have great restaurants, you have great cafes, you have beautiful parks, shopping malls. There's no reason to leave the city center. And, again, not thinking, because here you have this, beautiful young lady, you have this interpreter, you have the owner of this agency, making you think that, your best interest is being served. So I didn't think twice. Okay, we'll go outside of the city, we'll take a little drive, and then, go up to this little restaurant out into the country, because you think they're there to actually want to get to know you. So you're not thinking about the cost or where you're going. It's just, I really want to spend time and get to know her. And, had this nice little lunch. And again, there were some other things that are just coming up that were just making me kind of question exactly what's going on here. As I was speaking, the interpreter was kind of directing a lot of the conversation. The girl was kind of nodding, maybe talking back to the interpreter, kind of giving a response. And then the girl happened to say a couple of words in English. And I was like, wow, your English is better than the translator. What am I not understanding here? This girl absolutely understood every single word that I was saying in English. And she even made some responses back in English. But the translator that was there, her English was terrible. She was confusing a lot of the conversation. It became very tense because the stuff that I was talking about, I wanted to make sure it came across properly. You obviously want to impress these girls. And the date seemed to be going in the wrong direction. And then all of a sudden the owner comes to the restaurant and happens to sit down and kind of observe the date. And to me, that kind of made me feel good, because it seemed like, again, my best interests were being served, and it was going to calm the situation down. And
then she ordered the most expensive steak.
Well, no, the owner went and did her own thing, but
the translator ate along with you.
No, the translator, she asked if she can have a little bowl of soup, and I thought that's very polite.
Nice. That is the right way to do it.
Yeah, the lady asked me what I wanted to eat, and she helped me order through the menu. So we had a nice salad, we had some local Ukrainian food, some borscht, and I was feeling good. I'm tasting some of the local culture. And then I recognized that she wasn't eating a lot of food. There's all this food. And I'm like, why would you order all this food and not eat all of it? Obviously, I don't know the situation of every single individual here in the city, but one would think that things are very tough in certain situations, and if food is being provided to you, that you take advantage of eating what you order. But anyways, that date, it was okay. We ended up leaving, and they had a taxi waiting for us, and they dropped me back to the hotel. And then the conversation with the interpreter started getting a little heated, because they were asking for more money than I expected for translation services. Because when I was at the social, there was one price that was given, and it seemed reasonable because that's a standard price. And then the interpreter asked for more money because she was a local agency. And I kind of explained that she needed to tell me up front. Maybe that was my mistake. But it got a little bit heated.
You come with an agency that provides you a certain amount of hours of translation that are included. Mm-hmm. The meetings are included, right? They are supported and other small agencies that provide them, mm-hmm. those ladies and those translators, that supposedly they should support the costs of them. So you, as soon as you get out from those supposed affiliated mm-hmm. small agencies that provide the big one that brought you here, mm-hmm. they start to ask you an extra payment for the meeting, for the translation.
Mm-hmm. And I had booked this date with this girl through the website, and part of booking this
website of the agency you pay to come on the social.
The big. I'm learning, as I'm going, I'm learning all these little tricks.
You know that you could refuse not to pay anything.
Well, the big website, I'm not going to name the website, you have a service where you can pay to meet the girl in her city, and you'll get an hour and a half free translation. And, when I had mentioned at the end of this date that, I paid for this date, X amount of dollars, and I was supposed to receive an hour and a half translation, they refused me and said, well, no, we don't believe that. And I said, well, you go to the website and check it. That's the only reason why I got your contact information, and that's part of the agreement with this website. And I ended up having to pay for the full date. And there was this little signs that were telling me that maybe I need to be a little bit more careful. So I went back the next day to the agency and spoke to the owner and told her about my date. And she said, well, let me send you on another date with one of our girls. And she said, I have serious girls. Come to my computer. And I was feeling good that the owner is taking...
Why the need to say, I have serious girls? Why? Because on the other side they were not serious?
Maybe not. She says, I vouch for these girls. Come to my computer. So I sat right beside the owner. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. The owner of this little agency is making sure all of my needs are being met. We went one through one, each profile, and she told me exactly about all of these girls and what they do for work and who they're looking for and all this. And I'm like, wow, this is great. And we identified, one lady, and I'm like, yeah, she looks nice, like a good, honest girl, exactly what I'm looking for the age. And she's like, I'll arrange this date for you tonight. And
how can she be so sure that that lady will accept you just like that? Where is the criteria of that client lady from the agency? If the manager can say, this girl definitely she will accept. She never saw you in her life. How the hell she knows that she will accept?
All I know is that within 2 hours I had a date with this
She was there.
Yeah. And she met me at the agency. And again, I was expecting to stay within the city. And I asked her, let's...
Oops, you go again out of the city where nobody can see you.
And I said, well, you know what?
With her.
Yeah, I've been told that there's a lot of great places. I happen to eat at a restaurant many times in the city center that are great, great food, great environment. And then again, I was taken to this place that I didn't know where it was inside the city. I forget the name, but, nice big kind of rustic cabin type with some old Ukrainian and maybe a little bit of German mixture in the menu, and the conversation really wasn't going all that well, and it felt a little strange because the conversation seemed like it was being forced. I would ask the lady something, and the translator would kind of direct a lot of the questions or responses, and maybe add a little bit extra.
Did you ever have the feeling that maybe what I'm listening in English is not what you said in Russian?
Yeah, I'd say a little. I was curious.
No, because the question is that, okay, we all understand that letter writing online, blah, 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 is out of question. It's come to see. They want to see the men. They don't want to write to them because we already prove in other videos that they even don't have physical life. And hours on the day to reply those letters. So it's out of question. Ladies want to meet personally. Okay. So this you feel it. And why is important? Because they see your eyes and you see their eyes. And if the conversation that you are receiving in to the translation doesn't match with her semblance, with her face expression, with her eyes, something is wrong there. Because we feel when someone have interested on us, right? Someone that was just fish to come, that never saw you. See you put them, oh, it's this one here. Ah, okay, where we go? Ah, we go to the, okay. But there's nothing, it starts wrong, so we never finish, okay. Right?
Yeah, and
you felt that all the time.
I felt that. I felt like she didn't want to be there. And one of the signs was that she wasn't really interested in the menu and ordering or asking questions of me. A lot of those questions were being asked from the interpreter without the lady even saying a single word. And what
she read mine.
Yeah, she can read. She has the ESP. I think I know what this girl is going to ask him. And then the other thing that was very odd throughout the conversation was this girl was slumped back in her chair. Like there was absolutely zero interest in the date.
That is a physical expression
Yes.
of interest.
And to me, that was just too strange. And here came all of this food. And again, she wasn't interested in this menu, but she happened to order a ton of food. And she hardly ate any of the food. And again, to me, I felt disrespected because I came to get to know this lady. I'm expecting her to order something that she will truly eat. And here came all these dishes, and she hardly ate anything. And that's when I ended the date.
One question, please. Before she came, or at the moment she arrived, did you ask to the manager of that agency, did this lady see my picture before she arrived here and before she said that she has interest on me?
I did
How
not.
she decide her interest?
I did not ask that question. And I did not.
We have a bot meeting, right? Someone comes on a blind date that proved all the time not to have interest. What conclusion can we take? What did this lady win with her presence? She won favors to the owner of the agency. She came to make a favor to a friend. She came to receive some couple of grievance to entertain you.
And a free dinner.
This stays on our mind, but none is positive, of course.
So that's when I said, you know what, something is not right, and I ended the date. Paid and left, and you know, I got a little heated with the interpreter just because I felt that something was not being genuine on this date. And I decided, you know, obviously the next day was to go to another city for a social, and I was looking forward to it because I had some pretty good experiences leading up, again, socials, maybe not so specific on the internet dates that I had arranged.
Just let me make a resume. We finished this part.
Sure.
So, lesson number one is be sure that the lady really have interest in meeting you. And this only can be possible if the honesty of the agency will act on a way that to show that girl the picture. I say this because I do not do it on any other way. And 90% of the cases, I have a reply that is not positive. So someone that runs to a meeting in a blind date have something behind, is not genuine, okay, guys? So this is the lesson number one. You need to be sure that that lady saw and read your characteristics, and she's coming on her free own willing. This will bring a spirit and an atmosphere that will never ever let you feel as you felt. Okay?
Agree. Yeah.
Second, Ukrainian mentality, and now this is about characteristics of Ukrainian women. They love a man that is self-determined, that take the decisions, that make the choices, and she feels happy to follow. Don't give troubles to an Ukrainian girl saying, whatever you want, baby, whatever you want to do, I'm okay with everything. This may sound polite, this may sound gentleman, but deep inside, I'm here with them for 8 years. I tell you, no, you are giving them a trouble. So this to say that you have a date, you choose the place, and you go and eat what you want, and you control the situation all the time. Because you are the man, you are in charge, and this is why one day, who knows, you will become the head of the family, her husband. And this is a guy with determination. This is not a guy that goes with the flow. Someone that goes out of the city, of course, goes on a naive situation, but if she goes out of the city, two things are wrong. First, she comes to meet the man, not to have the meal. So coffee and cookies on a nice lounge bar, quiet one, is more than enough. Nobody needs a great dinner to meet anyone. Okay, we are meeting the man, not the menu. And second, if he wants to provide her tomorrow because today was nice, then it's an option. The place is also, of course, some agencies, like on my case, we give guidance and say, you can go here, you should not go there, exactly to avoid these taxis 10 miles away from the city. And we will say what is convenient to do, what is not convenient not to do, because obviously we believe and we want to be nice guys, and then our want to be a nice guy become a mistake. So be sure she really saw your profile and she really wants to meet you. Decide the place where you want to go. Don't ask for advices from the persons that are directly interested in that situation, and show yourself the man of determination and say, I want to go here, please take me there. Of course, you need to have a background support to do that. But nevertheless, alone, internet, you can have curiosity. I want to go there. I want to be there. And stay on public places. Why? Because if you go to meet a lady that is in her town, where people know her, where she can cross with anyone that is related with her, neighbors, families, friends, colleagues, whatever, she needs to feel comfortable to meet you among those people. Restaurants 10 miles away is from one that is hidden from the society where she lives, to go serve the purpose of this meeting for the reason that we already spoke before, must be one of them, and then we'll finish in a zero. Second part.
So the second part is, now I'm glad to, go to the next social, go to a new city, and the expectations were a little higher because, I've seen some certain things, some good, some bad, and I've heard a lot of great things about this city. And, it was great. Went for a little tour before the social. All the guys kind of gathered up, got on the bus and then went to the disco. And, we saw some ladies waiting outside, so all the guys were pretty excited. And then they have you wait upstairs and you see all these ladies filter into the disco.
And you think, oh, this is for me.
Yeah, I can't wait. And then it was a different type of social because you didn't have really just one agency, you had multiple agencies representing the social. So again, that didn't deter me at all. I wanted to make sure I went and spoke to...
I don't say represent, I say providing the ladies for the social.
That's probably...
Because, let's be fair, if you come to the Ukraine through an American company, who there in the United States know the girls that are here? Impossible. They don't know them. So they need to have affiliated small agencies that know the girls. And this is like a branch, okay? It's like all these small agencies, like a river, flows to the ocean that is the agency. But there on the agency, nobody knows who are these girls. The agency knows. So this is the reason why it's needed, in some cases, some agencies to be able to recruit these ladies to come to the social to fulfill their role. And this is why you see translators from this agent for that agent. They are all delegated people and affiliated that bring these girls there.
And I think recruit is the perfect word because I'm going to explain kind of exactly what I experienced.
That was my mistake. Let pass that word.
Because I'm going to explain exactly what I observed at this.
I explain recruit because I risk myself to say that most of the very good, nice, honest, and legit girls that I know in this city, they refuse to go to socials. This is why. They don't want that circus. They don't want to be confronted with the competition of the other ladies that maybe have 10 years younger than them. They don't want to have tens of guys around trying to conquer her attention all at the same time. They want privacy and they want what we all want, to date. Date is date, one-on-one, privacy, nice environment. It's not the bazaar. So, if the bazaar have drinks, have guests to entertain us, and we even can win something, all this, that, we are young and have that spirit, so let's go. But there you don't find a wife.
No. So back to the social, I was feeling good because as I went from city to city, I was having great conversation and it just seemed like everything was going great and I had high expectations for this one. So I took it upon myself to go to each table and have a conversation with each lady because that's part of being respectful.
You have your own translator then?
I had a translator that would follow me and lucky enough I found a very good translator that followed me around and was very upbeat and positive and took my jokes and translated it very well so that the ladies would laugh as well. And, had some conversation. Obviously, I spoke to some of the old ladies that were out of my age range because I truly was there to get to know people. And maybe that would show some of the other ladies at the other tables that, hey, that's a pretty interesting guy because he's not He wants to get to know everybody.
Did you feel any difference on the behavior of the oldest and the youngest?
I did.
The oldest more receptive?
The older women were more receptive because they were getting attention. Again, you know, a lot of the guys, they have these expectations of supermodels. That's all they're going to speak to. And these ladies were being ignored.
Confess to us, how many of those older guys wanted to date those girls that could be dead waters?
Probably all.
That is terrible. They are humans, we all are, but we should not be put to that temptation situation.
Yeah.
It destroys.
So the ladies were very receptive to me talking to them, but as I went around the table, I felt that a lot of the ladies were being very cold. Like they did not want to speak. Like they were there for a different reason. And that was the general feeling I had at every table. Other than those one or two tables where you're talking to the older ladies. And I was becoming frustrated because here is this guy that has flown 6,000 miles to come and meet someone. And you hear all this stuff from this websites that you meet a good, honest, genuine girl.
All the marketing went down the drain because...
It disappeared. All of a sudden, after a few days, it disappeared.
The light...
Yeah, it's like, what am I doing wrong here? And I actually even asked the translator, what am I doing wrong? She was, no, just keep being yourself and you're doing fine. And I decided to take a little break and go outside and get a little fresh air and maybe have a couple more conversations. And again, I started getting the same feeling where I was being pushed away. You know, we're not interested. And then I just let the remainder of the evening go. And then 10 p.m. came. They did the little prize thing, they did the little games, you know, the girls went up to the stage and danced. And then the lights came on. And it's the best way to explain it is, you know, if you're in an apartment, there's a lot of cockroaches and you flick the lights, the roaches disappear. This is exactly what happened at this social. 10 p.m. came, all the ladies left. They didn't stick around to talk to any of the guys. They didn't want to continue to conversate or communicate. They all went downstairs. So I decided to go downstairs and see if I can get one or two of the ladies that I'd spoken to and maybe see if we can arrange something later on. And then I saw one of the affiliate managers and started giving money to the girls.
To the girls.
And I was like, what is this?
Exactly after the meeting.
Exactly as soon as the lights came on and everybody left upstairs.
But that was not on the same room, was on another place that you maybe were not supposed to be.
It was downstairs at the exit.
You are not supposed to go.
Probably not.
You saw what is not supposed to see.
Yeah. And there was a lineup of ladies waiting with their hand out.
Now we discover why they cannot abandon the room before the end.
Is they're waiting for payment. And
that is really...
wow. And that's when everything just went crazy for me. It's like, okay, now everything's adding up. You know, none of the girls wanted to talk. Everybody left at 10 p.m. All these girls would just have these, you know, very zombie-like look to their face. And then as soon as the lights came on, they're out with their hand and they're gone. And none of them really wanted any dates. At the end of the evening, you know, we had a few drinks and we talked about the experience. And some of the guys actually called the administration and told them exactly what they observed with the payments at the door.
You were not the only one that saw the payments.
Oh, there were pretty much every guy that had left. You know, 10, 15 guys that saw the payments. So to them, these some guys were ready to just rip this disco apart because it's, you know, why did I spend all this money? Why did I travel thousands of miles to come here? If at the end of the day, these girls aren't here to meet a guy. They're here to get paid or they're here to offer up some other service. So they complained to the administration. They provided, you know, details about the door, you know, who these ladies were, you know, what was being offered. And to be honest with you, I don't know what came of it. But there was multiple guys that had expressed their concern. And for me, with that experience, I just wanted to leave the city. That was probably the worst experience I've ever had. And I told myself, you know what? I'm probably done with socials. There's no benefit of doing a social because at the end of the day, they're not there. So that was my experience. Obviously, I came back to, you know, a couple of cities to go back home. And I felt that, you know what, I have to keep trying because, you know, if I don't, I'm going to regret not giving all of my efforts. Prior to making this trip, your website happened to come across my email. Someone had recommended you to me. And, I went through your website, looked at all the videos, looked at your background, and I said, hey, this guy understands exactly what's going on here. He's not bullshitting me. He's giving me all the real truth.
Not exactly what you want to listen, but...
It wasn't what I wanted to listen, but it was the truth. And some of the stuff you were telling me were things that I experienced. So for someone to come out and kind of expose, the
I don't know you from anywhere, and I just touched the other point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I decided to go through all of your videos, and everything, it was just so interesting. And I'm like, wow, that happened to me. Letter writing, the chat, the video. I'm like, this is so much good information. I'm like, I'm going to memorize all of this, and when I come back for my second trip, I'm going to be armed so that...
Yeah, that is the homework that I asked the guys to do. The videos are for free, for God's sake. You just need to watch them.
I was like, I'm going to be bulletproof. So if anybody tries to try anything, I'm covered.
You underestimated the power of the enemy.
Yes.
The dark side of the force.
And I got to explain that. So prior to coming back to the cities that I had originally come back in July to see some of these ladies, I decided to go to a new city. Thought I made a good connection.
A big one.
A very big one. Very popular amongst tourists as well. And I figured, I traveled to Ukraine once. I'm a guy. I've traveled parts of the world. I can get my way around. I decided to do it on my own. I didn't seek out any big company. I decided I knew how to get here. I knew how to have my travel agent book me a flight to the city. And I had, one or two friends that would help me if I needed some advice. So I came to the city, booked my own apartment, beautiful little apartment. The lady on the chat, and I'll get back to it, we exchanged contact information. She gave me her personal email address, gave me her personal mobile phone. I asked her to add me to Skype, as you mentioned in one of your videos. We added each other to Skype. We communicated briefly through Skype, not video, just through instant message.
Did you Google that email address, that phone number, that Skype? Did you try to understand if you could find out by your own something upon this lady?
Well, later on I found out about her Skype and her email address. She happened to have 4 different accounts registered to Skype.
Red flag.
Red flag. And I found that out a little too late. But again, you're getting sucked in. You see all these, you're getting these chats, you're seeing this beautiful lady. Of course you want to explore and see if there's going to be a potential there. So I had my apartment. They agreed they would, she would come and meet me at the airport.
You even gave up on writing me again, because as I remember, I told you, if you want, we can find out exactly who you are going to meet. I can give you some advice, and then you silence.
Yeah.
And then I know, and I understand him perfectly. This is human nature. We learn and you believe in what you see with your own eyes. Mm-hmm. And you come in your quest, armed with all the information you have, thinking that would be enough. And so I will succeed, at least the worst is that I will not become scammed. Right? So you don't need me.
No.
And you made it by your own.
But yes, so, prior to coming to this one city, we had contacted each other. You were given to me as a reference, and I said, you know what? Everything that Alex talks about in his videos, I've experienced to some degree. And I thought that was great because, other women that I'd communicated with on this site or other sites only gave me partial information. Maybe one gave me an email, but wouldn't give me a phone number to contact. So for me, this was great because I got all of her information. I got her name, I got her email, Skype, all of this. And we started doing daily communication the 3 weeks before I came to her city, and she agreed she'd cook me dinner. And I was like, wow, that's fantastic. So I was like, I'll rent an apartment. I'll do this all on my own. And then she's like, I'll come get you at the airport. And I'm like, that's great because I don't know my way around this particular city. So I feel more relaxed and comfortable. And she says, I'll feel comfortable if I have my own interpreter. So she says, for the first date, 2 dates, I'll have someone with me to interpret for us.
That means like the Sherlock Holmes. You had communication with her by phone calls?
Through the mobile phone, through text.
Text message. And there, she texts you in English.
Correct. And I
But she doesn't speak English. She needs a translator.
Yeah, so in the initial communication, this was fast. And this was, for me, this was great because most of these women that are on these internet sites, they'll try and keep you there for a while and until they find out that you're coming, and weeks can go by. And this lady is like instantly, once she found out I was coming, it's like, let's make a phone call and exchange contact information. As soon as we started talking immediately through the mobile phone, I had asked her, wow, you speak English.
How fast was the reply?
Instant. So as soon as we got off the phone and we exchanged all of our contact information, within 20 minutes we were texting each other.
And I asked the time passed between you text a message to her and you receive another text message as a reply. How long it takes?
Some of them could take 20 seconds, a simple reply. Some could take maybe a few minutes.
I'm trying to find out if she was using any translation online to translate what she wants to write you back.
Well, when I asked her, how is it your English is so good, or how are you able to respond to me in English? And she said, well, I'm using a translator application. So, Google Translate is an application that's available to a lot of people.
Yes, but the Google Translation is good for how is the weather, I had a nice day, how are you, good morning, good night, love you very much. But if you say a complicated sentence, because in Russian you cannot literally say the things as you say in English, because the meaning is different. So it's complicated. And I have experience of couples that had several serious misunderstandings in their relationship provoked by the using of Google Translate. Right?
And a lot of these conversations weren't very long. There were simple words, maybe 2 or 3. So for me, there wasn't really much to suspect.
Were mistakes on those letters?
There were some mistakes. Some words came out.
Identify with Google mistake.
Yeah, some words came out wrong, or maybe the spelling was wrong. So I kind of understood.
Spelling Google does make mistake.
There you go. You got me. That's.
You can say the wrong word, but it doesn't make a grammar mistake.
Yeah.
So she was typing.
She was typing. Yeah.
So she knows at least enough English. Now back to the story. Why translated for her to feel more comfortable?
Yeah, so we agreed that that if she felt more comfortable for this first date, that she'll have her own translator. The goal was to meet her and get to know her. So I came to her city, and sure enough, we communicated while I was in a connecting city. Told her I'll be there, and we exchanged little text messages. And then I came to her airport, and she was waiting for me at the airport, and it was a great feeling. To see her there. She had her translator, she was there, gave me a great big hug. And then we went up to the taxi, and the taxi was waiting, outside of the airport. And they took me back to my apartment because the apartment owner did not speak any English, and I needed to collect keys. So the translator agreed. She'd help me kind of get me into my room and get organized. So as soon as we came up to the apartment, the first thing that they said, did you want to relax? Get settled in, and maybe tomorrow we'll do something, or would you like to go out and go to a cafe, just get freshened up? And I agreed, I've traveled so many miles, why don't I just go out for a quick little coffee and get to know her a little bit, and then we can organize something later tomorrow. So I got freshened up, we went into the taxi was waiting for us, and it's actually the same taxi from...
This taxi had meter, or does
it had no meter.
No meter.
And I was warned, from different videos, from what I've heard on websites, if you're not sure, get a metered taxi. But again, everything's just moving so fast. You don't suspect anything. You think that you're dealing with this reputable website, and these agencies are also reputable.
In this case, you were dealing with the girl, autonomous girl, not more with the website, right?
I was no longer communicating.
So the taxi was her responsibility. You trust her.
Exactly.
One thing comes along with the other.
Yeah. So we had decided to go for a cafe. It's probably about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and we drive into the we stayed within the city center, and I'm talking, I'm asking questions. Translators doing a lot of the conversation, trying to get things going, and the translator
that you met on that moment
that evening at the airport, and the translator seemed like a very nice person. So there's no reason for me not to trust her.
They were friends.
They didn't seem like they knew each other. I was told that they didn't know each other. I'd asked the lady, I'm like, who is this translator? How well do you know her? And she goes, we've only met once at the agency. And
but as I remember your words, she wanted the translator to feel more comfortable and at ease.
Yes.
With the stranger. a second stage.
Someone supposedly she didn't really know. Yeah. And I told her, I'm like, well, you know, if I need my own translator, are you going to be open to that? And she says, yeah. She's like, why would you need your own translator? And I explained to her, and she says, okay, well, if that's what you need, then we'll do that. But for this first time, I want to make sure I have my own person. So we drove around the city, and the translator had mentioned, well, you know, it's a little bit late. It was a Thursday evening. Most of the cafes are closed. Why don't we go to this one cafe?
On the big city.
In the big city. And I'm like...
Where we have them 24/7.
Yeah, it's 10 p.m. How is it that all these cafes are closed? And it just so happened that they chose a restaurant that someone had mentioned to me on their own trip was one of the most expensive restaurants in the city.
Oh, the Red Flag again.
Red Flag. And again, things are just moving so fast that you're not really piecing it all together until later on, when everything really adds up. And we sat down, and you know, the interpreter, as I look back, was smart. She was able to position herself in a way that would get me to sit beside the girl and not really get face-to-face communication. My back was turned as I look back, turned to the back of the restaurant, so I could only observe the rest of the establishment. And it's 10 o'clock at night, and I just wanted something simple to drink.
The girls face the door. You don't face the door.
I faced the back side of the restaurant. My back was facing the back of the restaurant.
Let's see, anyone that comes inside, they see, you don't.
Yeah, I can see them from my side.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 10 p.m. It's a little late to eat dinner. And next thing I know, these two ladies started ordering a massive amount of food. Soups, breads, meat. And I was just a little puzzled that, you know, so late at night.
Well, it's puzzled because the Ukrainian girls, they are so much concerned about the line, the figure. Mm-hmm. And most of them that I know after 7 in the evening, they don't eat. Mm-hmm. They can drink something, yeah. But they don't eat. And at 10 we are ordering buffet.
And I was shocked because here I am with just a little bit of dessert and a tea, and they were eating for like 12 people.
That is a really nice sign about to understand that honest people, and we didn't reach the conclusion yet if this lady is honest or not, we will listen at the end, but a decent, well-oriented lady will never order more than you. And she will ask if she can order this or that. If she feels that is a little bit over pricing thing, she will ask. She will never ever take the self-enterprise to ask whatever she wants without your consent. You are the host, you are there for her, she owns you that respect. If you ask for a coffee and a glass of water, she will not get out from there. Otherwise, only if you will say, please choose whatever you want. If you say choose whatever you want, you put yourself in a position that can happen. If you didn't say it, they should not pass the limit.
And I find it very odd that neither of the ladies asked exactly if they can order certain things.
The translator also.
The translator ordered her own food as well, and I was shocked because I'm like, I've had experience where they had asked. And next thing I know, there's all these fruit salads are coming out.
And she was not even a friend of the girl. She was there to
she's there to work and provide a service. And then, you know, it started getting close to 12 o'clock. And you know, the place was going to close down soon. So the waiter came over and asked, you know, we'd like to close up the bill. And the interpreter slipped, I guess, a coupon card. And I was like, okay, that's great. She's going to help me get a discount on my food. And, you know, the waiter came back with the bill. And of course, I didn't have a chance to exchange any currency. So the only way I was able to pay was through a credit card. And I had given the credit card to the waiter, and she looked a little confused. Like she was shocked, like she didn't know what to do.
Top restaurant and the employee.
The number one restaurant, yeah, the most expensive restaurant in the city. And she was just totally disoriented and didn't know exactly how to respond to me presenting a credit card to pay. And then the interpreter jumped in and said that their terminal wasn't working. And
did that was a translation? Did the employer say that the terminal is not
the
working?
waiter had
because the terminal word
Mhm.
is international here.
Yeah.
In Russian, we say the terminal. We say terminal in Russian, right?
The waiter had mumbled something. She spoke very softly, but the translator was very firm in saying exactly that this terminal did not work. You need to pay cash. Again, I'm not cluing in because this is my first experience in the city, first restaurant. There is a strong possibility that it's late at night and maybe the terminal has been closed and cannot accept any more transactions. So I happen to pay with US dollars, and the bill was humongous. The amount of food, I was like, it's a little crazy for a 2-hour meeting, which is supposed to be coffee, that's turned into a full-blown dinner. And I'm like, wow, this is just a little bit too much. The next day we agreed that...
Can I ask you how much was?
It turned out to be about 127 US dollars.
127, we are talking
about 1,000
1,000
Yeah, to me that's a little shocking for
almost half of a regular salary.
Yeah.
But that is not the surprise, because this country have all these discrepancies. Most of the people win $300, $400, but you see the restaurants where people eat that money in one meal. But here they are not equal.
Yeah,
but everybody is the same. And lesson number 1 on this episode: you go to a restaurant. First step: if the terminal works, if you don't have local currency, if the terminal works, and if you have suspicions about something, you always pay with your card, because the symbols of Visa or the MasterCard, whatever, will be there at the door.
I would say that the first step would be if you know you're going to a city, do your research, find out some of the restaurants, because as you mentioned, you're the one in control. You're the one that should be telling the lady, this is the place that I want to go. Your second step would be feel comfortable as to what you should pay with those establishments, and if you feel you need to pay with a credit card or whatever it may be, pay with that type of payment. So if I move to day number 2, she came and met me at the apartment by herself. The translator came, a few minutes later, and we were taking this nice little seaside restaurant. The menu came out, and within 20 minutes, there was about 20 dishes sitting on this table. And next thing I know, the bill comes out. The bill was a little bit better than the night before. It was about 800 hryvnia. Still pretty expensive for a lunch.
Still $100 in a lunch.
And we came back, and then we went to the store to buy some food so that she can cook me a dinner. And we sat down, had a little dinner, a little bit of wine. And then all of a sudden, the lady said she was feeling sick. And I've heard stories that once a lady tells you she's feeling sick, either she's no longer interested in you, or she's making some kind of excuse. She's going to go back, get a little bit of rest, and then she'll come back tomorrow morning, and we'll go bowling. The translator had asked me to give the lady taxi money. The lady didn't ask me for taxi money. She said not a single word. And that's when things were a little bit, okay, this is something a little bit strange. The same taxi is following us to all these different places. There's no meter. I need to take a little bit of action. So when she had left that night, I had texted her and said, can you make sure you get me a metered taxi for tomorrow? And she asked me why. And I said, I don't feel comfortable with the same guy following us everywhere we go. Sure enough, the next morning, a different taxi was there, an official taxi. And they took us to somewhere outside of the city, to a shopping mall, to do bowling. And again, this is bowling in the morning. So one would expect that if I come here, she's going to take me out at night, show me her friends, or show me what she likes to do. But again, I'm doing something that shouldn't be done in the morning.
Everything you made with her was out of her normal day-to-day life. And on places where she doesn't go on her normal to normal day life, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we did the bowling. They asked me for what I thought, looking back, is a very expensive price to go bowling for 3 people. 250 hryvnia.
Per hour?
For the hour. For the entire...
In the morning?
In the morning, yeah.
That is crazy.
That's crazy. And then
The normal price is 3 times less than that.
Yes, and I realized that after going bowling in a different city with an honest girl. I realized that, yeah, I think I got taken there. They didn't accept, at the time of the counter, credit card for this. So we sat down, started bowling, and then all of a sudden the menus come out, and within 10-15 minutes, there's a massive amount of food.
Again, in the morning.
In the morning, lunchtime, 12 o'clock, sushi, salad, calamari, extra drinks. And this lady...
More drinks than persons.
Yeah.
Oh.
This lady, and I was just...
The world is going to finish.
I was just a little confused. I'm like, wow, this is... Why would you order all this food if you're not going to eat it? She only ate her soup, 1 or 2 pieces of sushi, her 1 drink. She left the other drink untouched. She didn't touch any of the other dishes that she ordered. And I'm like, well, why would you order all this food? So I ate a little bit of food just to make sure that, hey, money's not gone wasted. And the next thing I know, the bill comes out, 800, close to 800 hryvnia. And I'm just shocked because I spent all this money on bowling to have a good time. And here I am spending some more money on lunch. So the bill came out, and I said, I'm going to pay with my card. And then for a second time, this waiter looked a little bit baffled, confused, because she wasn't expecting me to pay with a card. And I was told that the terminal is not working. And to me, that was red flag number 2. I found it very odd that in the first restaurant on that one night, that she had disappeared as well after I paid the bill in cash. The bathroom was actually right beside us, so I know she didn't go to the bathroom, but she went to the back part of this restaurant. On the 3rd day at this bowling alley, she as well had disappeared and had gone somewhere. And then I started to realize that, if I add everything up, these particular locations not only were very expensive, it seemed like I overpaid, but I was forced to pay cash. And I was just thinking, is this something where this interpreter or this lady had a relationship with these establishments to potentially, have a foreigner pay cash so that they can get a cut? After the bowling, we walked around the mall there. We decided she was going to cook me dinner again. We went and bought some stuff. We went back to my apartment with a different taxi as well. They called for a different one. And she went and started to cook, but then she started saying she was feeling a little sick. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon. We ate just a little bit of bread and some meat, but she didn't feel up to cooking the rest of the food.
That Ukrainian girl, when enters the kitchen, she feels noxious, huh?
Yeah. It's like it's kryptonite for her, the kitchen.
Yeah, the kitchen put her sick.
You hear every Ukrainian woman wants to cook for their man or take care of him.
Yeah.
But for some reason, this one particular lady, the kitchen is like kryptonite for Superman. I think this is great advice for your guys that are watching this video. Notice all the jewelry she was wearing. And she had rings and necklaces and stuff. And the taxi, an average taxi ride for the farthest part of the city is about 60 hryvnia. But for some reason, all these requests from the lady or the interpreter to give money to get her home was triple the amount. Just little different signs about her leaving, on a Friday night. He's like, she's probably going to meet with her friends to go to a disco. How is it that she's sick 2 nights in a row? How is it that when she went to the grocery store, she was buying the most expensive ingredients? She wasn't even looking at the price. She was not concerned about that. So there's all these red flags, and I decided I was going to put my foot down, and I wasn't going to get scammed again. I knew I was coming to see you to get advice, but I needed to take some action before I came to see you. So I decided I was going to give her a taste of her own medicine. So I decided actually to leave the city 2 days earlier without telling her. But I arranged to meet her at a very expensive restaurant. I told her to meet her at restaurant number A, and I will meet her on this Monday, which supposedly she was working at the university. So she texted me. At the time, I was actually in a different city, and we were communicating. And she said, I'm going to come to your apartment. And I told her, you know what? Don't meet me at the apartment. I'm actually in the city center walking around. Why don't you meet me at this restaurant? And she didn't want to do it. She said I didn't like it, but I forced her to go. And she met me at the restaurant. She says, "Where are you?"
So you sent her to a dead-end road, you were not in the city anymore.
Exactly. I booked my flight.
And you put her to order food and stay there without money to pay.
Exactly.
She had your money.
Yeah, she had my money from the previous days as well as the interpreter. I told her to eat without me. And I was actually having a date in another city. There's a couple things that I've learned and I'm going to try and practice as I get back to my country is I will no longer use internet chat sites or websites. I will no longer do any letter writing at all. It has never led to anything. I will no longer attend socials because in my experience, it has led not really to much. I did happen to meet one or two good girls that I've continued contact.
But those one or two cost you good money on average. If you divide the money you spend on your dating quest.
Yeah, I would say,
and divide by the number of good ladies you found. Each of them.
If you put it that way, on the cost of actually attending the social, the amount of money you give to these companies, and then if you divide it into the number of real women you find,
they are golden girls.
I could go to Australia a couple of times. Yeah.
So they are. You should be married already.
And the other advice I would say is that if you've traveled to Ukraine, the biggest advice is know someone that can help you find a girl. So find an agency such as FH Dating that will give you the real advice, give you the real truth, and will help you find someone. Because if you're going to try and do this on your own, you're not going to succeed. You're not going to succeed with the internet sites. You're not going to do anything with the letter writing. The socials aren't going to lead to anything. Find someone you can trust that will help you get around. And that's my advice.
No, thank you for the compliment. It's difficult to find really online. Mm-hmm. And even with my kind of help, is also not a promise. Mm-hmm. I just give the tactics. I say what to do, what not to do, according to the local mentality or to the way of thinking and habits. So I live in the country for 8 years already, so I understand a little bit more than you, just not because I'm better, it's just because I have the opportunity to experience the things. So what I propose is to share with people what I know, what I lived, and the lessons I took from it. And I will share it gladly with those that will trust me, and I will make my best to help them to reach what they really want. But there's no price to buy no wife, because that doesn't exist.
Thank you for your help.